Friday, July 11th, we get our next installment in the long-running Dexter franchise, Dexter Resurrection. Dexter is alive and attempting to track down his son Harrison in New York when old faces return to track him down and new faces emerge to cause new hurdles. Tonight, we're going to talk about the 5 things that Dexter Resurrection needs to do in its first season in order to be successful. Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Again, tonight we are talking the 5 things that the first season of Dexter Resurrection needs to do in order to set up for a very successful show. Now, if you are not a Dexter fan, if you have not watched this franchise here before, then I advise you to go and turn this video off right now. Take your butt on over to Paramount Plus, where you can catch all 8 seasons of the original show, along with the sequel series Dexter New Blood and the prequel series Dexter Original Sin. Now, of course, make sure to hit that subscribe and follow button, folks. We're going to be doing recaps of every episode. We got 10 episodes this season to get through. We're going to be doing those every single week. Don't want you to miss that at all. Yes, there are going to be spoilers included in these recaps, as you likely saw with my coverage of Dexter New Blood and Dexter Original Sin. So watch as you dare. But before we can do that, let's focus in on these 5 very specific points that we got to see here from this brand new show. Number 5, a supporting cast that actually feels supportive. In the original show, we had a great group of characters surrounding Dexter over the course of the 8 seasons. You had the continuing changing faces of Miami Metro, you had Dexter's continual romantic partners, and of course we had the new big bad every single season. But New Blood ended up stumbling a bit as it took a mini-series approach to the Dexter show we had all come to know and love. And because of that, Dexter and Harrison were really the only fully fleshed out characters here of the show. Yeah, Dexter was dating the police chief. Yes, we had the big bad and Clancy Brown as well too, but realistically, the cast that was around Dexter and Harrison and New Blood didn't really offer much in the way of actually supporting everything else that was going on. Things were entirely just focused on what surrounded Dexter. And that made New Blood a bit of a stumble in terms of this entire franchise, because what we're really used to, especially from that original show, is that Dexter might have somebody that he's going after, has the big bad that he's centered around, but Miami Metro has their own thing going on at the exact same time. Now, of course, these stories always end up intersecting by the end of the season. But the thing is that we have to have Dexter be able to weave in and out of the storylines that are going on that can survive without his direct involvement while he's still off doing his own thing. New Blood didn't give us that, so it felt a bit too dark and a bit too heavy for the majority of that show. Now, it doesn't seem like we're going to be lacking on that front when it comes to characters. We see that David Zayas is back as Batista, Jack Alcott is back as Harrison. We have new characters that are going to include a cast that has Uma Thurman, Peter Dinklage, Kristen Ritter, Eric Stonestreet, David Damashane. There are a lot of new faces showing up in here. And what I very much hope is that these people are going to be basically flooding these episodes out so it doesn't feel like it's just the Dexter and Harry show or Dexter and Harrison show yet again. We love Dexter, we love Harrison, but the thing is that we have to catch those breaks from them with a little bit of levity, a little bit of other stuff going on. And we might not be getting Miami Metro, but with this cast of characters that are surrounding him this time around, it could provide something just as interesting. Number 4, a lot of murdering. So with New Blood, the whole thing is that Dexter is very, very much trying to stop anybody from finding out who he was back in Miami, because his entire world could come crashing down if he doesn't learn how to control his urges. That was pretty much the entire plot there. He kills the son of that season's big bad, and that sets off a chain reaction to where everybody starts figuring things out. Now, that makes sense for that show. Dexter is trying to stay undercover. But here in Resurrection, if the idea is that we're getting multiple seasons of this show, this is not a one and done at that point, then that means Dexter has to get back to the status quo, and that means fulfilling those urges. They didn't just up and go away. And moving the action from Miami to New York, or even Iron Lake to New York, New York is a very dangerous place. It has a lot of murders in that city. So it stands to believe that if Dexter is moving there, he might actually have an easier time killing people in New York than he did in Miami. And so because he wasn't able to fulfill those desires too much in New Blood, we have to be able to see him get back to doing that here in Resurrection, because we have to see Dexter as the same force of nature that we know that he ultimately is. And if he's going to contend with all these other serial killers that are in New York, and especially a part of this season, then he has to get back into top form. Unleash the beast, let Dexter get people back onto his table there. It's time for the collection to restart. Number 3, use the Original Sin cast. Original Sin had the pleasure of actually showing us at the very beginning that Dexter survived the gunshot from Harrison and would end up making it to a new show. But here's the thing. We now don't need to rely on doing the flashbacks that the original show had that had a lot of the cast members playing their younger selves. We are very far past that at this point. We don't need to use the budget to de-age them. You have a cast that's playing most of these characters that we've seen in this original show, and I have to imagine that we are absolutely going to get flashbacks to time in Miami with Dexter and Batista working with Miami Metro. So if that's going to be the case, use that younger cast that we're waiting to get this season 2 from. We're expecting them to be around for a while. This is a great way to get them connected to more of this fan base, because those folks who possibly didn't turn into Original Sin, having these actors show up again here in Resurrection would actually give incentive to go back and watch that show. It works in the best way to where you had Original Sin promoting Dexter Resurrection, and Dexter Resurrection can help promote Original Sin. At the very least, we have to see Patrick Gibson show up as young Dexter. I think that is probably the most important out of any of these cast members from that show showing up here, to again show that connection that these are in fact the exact same Dexter Morgans. If we don't get that, I feel that it doesn't really help out Original Sin and leaves it by the wayside to end up only making it another season or so. As silly as that sounds, I really do believe that by including Patrick Gibson as at the least, but hopefully more of that cast from Original Sin, this will help up its profile and make folks very excited for season 2, which I have to imagine is probably going to hit us next winter, like January 2026 if we're lucky. Likely more summer 2026, but we'll see with that. Number 2, don't make Batista an idiot. We are getting David Zayas back in one of the best roles across this entire franchise. He has always been such a beloved character, Angel Batista. And the fact that we got a little glimpse of him in New Blood, I know had folks really, really wanting to see a continuation of, well, what did Batista truly find out? What would his mindset be if he found out that Dexter is actually the Bay Harbor Butcher? And that seems to be where this story is picking up, because this show, Resurrection, is set only weeks after New Blood. And if you haven't checked out New Blood, we actually got a couple of glimpses of Batista. He was heading to Iron Lake with the Bay Harbor Butcher case files after he found out that Dexter is still alive. Now, that doesn't actually mean that Batista knows that Dexter is the Bay Harbor Butcher, but if that's the case, I don't see how we get past this first season without him finding that information. I think it would be a mistake to have Dexter kill Batista off, and there's a point about that I'm gonna make here in just a moment. I also think it would be a mistake to have any of these random serial killers that are showing up in this first season kill him off as well too. It might sound trite, but I think we need that connection back to Miami Metro, and that means that Batista has to be alive. So if Batista finds out Dexter's secret, I have to imagine we're going to go in a completely different route, and Batista might actually be the first cop, the first friend who's actually like, you know what? We got to let this go. I got to let you go and do your thing at this point. Yes, there's going to be a big issue with what happened to LaGuardia, but Dexter didn't kill LaGuardia. I hate to say it, but that was Deb's fault at that point. So, I mean, he can't hold that grudge against Dexter. I know Dexter, it was Dexter's fault, but he didn't kill her. So I do feel there is an out there to where they can have Batista learn Dexter's secret and actually be on board with that. There were hints in the original show that Batista wouldn't always be falling on the right side of the law. And in that very last season, remember, it was very much implied that he'd be willing to kill Saxon after everything that went down with him. So again, Let's not make Batista a bumbling idiot. He can still be this upbeat, happy-go-lucky guy who loves to dance and is all about la passion, but that doesn't change the fact that we need him to be alive, and he likely needs to be the one person that Dexter can still come to with everything that's going on here with him re-entering the world as a serial killer. And this leads us to my number one point that we need here. No more unnecessary killing for Dexter. This was one of the foundations of Harry's code here, that if Dexter is just killing for no reason, he is no different than any other serial killer. There's also the idea of never harm an innocent. And yet New Blood went against this totally by having Dexter ultimately killing Sergeant Logan, the man who was guarding him at the police station after he was captured. And this ultimately led to Harrison shooting him at the end of that series. Now, I can understand that we needed a tipping point here for Harrison in order to actually make this move and try to take Dexter out. That makes total sense. But that was shown to be pretty much the only time that Dexter got pushed into killing somebody when his back was up against the wall. He's been in numerous situations in that original show to where he was going to get caught or he was going to get murdered, and ultimately he accepted his fate because it would let other people survive. It would take other people out of harm's way. You know, we can use Dokes as an example, but he was going to turn himself in ultimately, and then Lila ended up killing Dokes and taking that problem away. With LaGuardia, he was likely going to kill LaGuardia as well too, but Deb stepped in and took that problem away. That's happened numerous times over the original show, and I guess this is one of those times where nobody was going to step in and make Dexter's life easier. But here's the thing. We get one of those. We get one, because that was such a dramatic departure from what we had seen in the character of Dexter that honestly, I wouldn't have been surprised if more people had turned on the character, because I was not happy with Dexter for a while after I saw that in New Blood. So let's not do that again at this point, okay? Unless we are 5 seasons into Resurrection and this is truly the end of this franchise, we do not need to see Dexter having to sacrifice somebody else for the betterment of his own life. It just doesn't gel with the character. It goes against the code, and then it pokes holes there to where it's like, well, if he's going to do this to one person, he's going to do that to somebody else as well. And then the code means absolutely nothing at the end of the day. So no more innocents that are being killed by Dexter. I don't care what MacGuffins we got to pull up out of this here, but we cannot do that again. And there it is, folks, the 5 points that I think will make Resurrection a big success here for its first season. What do you think, though? Let me know in the comment section if there's something that you think the show needs to do here in order to actually make itself accessible and enjoyable to all you Dexter fans that are out there. And do you want to see anybody else make their return to this show? You know, we saw that we're going to get the Trinity Killer. We're getting Miguel Prado. We're getting Dokes coming back here from this. James Remar is returning as Harry Morgan. What other familiar faces from this show's past do you want to see turn back up here in Dexter Resurrection? Let me know in the comment section. And then, of course, get subscribed to my Linktree. This is the best way to stay on top of everything I'm dropping here on my channel in the world of horror, reviews, interviews, opinion pieces for you. And the best way to stay on top of that is to hit my Linktree at linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed, that's going to be access to the YouTube page, the video versions of the show, your favorite podcasting platforms, the audio-only versions of the show, my Letterboxd page for written reviews and movie rankings throughout the year, my TikTok page for short horror content, including movie news, movie premieres, and movie reviews, my Twitch page for horror gaming, and my Fangoria shop page where you can enjoy a 20% discount off anything in the Fangoria shop. Take advantage of that, y'all. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button no matter where you are watching or listening. Got a lot of great stuff coming out here, including continual weekly coverage of Dexter Resurrection. I got an interview coming out here with Sam Lasky, one of the writers of the upcoming horror sci-fi film Ick, and we're going to take a look at I Know What You Did Last Summer. That's coming out in just a couple weeks as well. Don't want y'all to miss any of that, so hit that subscribe or follow button wherever you are checking this out. But that's it tonight, y'all. I appreciate you tuning in. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared.